It is live. We're live on a Thursday night. At least it's a night for me in the United States here in the central time zone. So, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. This is my Thursday night stream that I'm doing, and I'm going to actually talk a little bit about what it might be changing up with Twitch and YouTube and all that stuff. As I've said many times, a lot of this is just because I like doing it. It's fun, and if I don't get a lot of people showing up, that's okay. Though I may change the time and when I do these things because, that's maybe a little bit not good for everybody. I don't know, but we'll see. It's kind of distracting when, and I don't mean to say that slightly, but it's kind of distracting when you see on Twitter that the you can call it a conflict. I call it an absolute farce of what's going on over in Ukraine with what Russia is doing, and specifically with Putin. I mean, you can get political, and I will for a little bit, because this is just, I can't even find words for it. And then you find out that, oh yeah, there's a nuclear power plant that is currently under attack. Some of it's on fire. That doesn't sound good. That really, really, really doesn't sound good. And while it would probably be really, really bad for Europe as a whole, probably Russia as well. It doesn't seem like a very, very smart thing to do. None of this is smart. All of this is just, yeah. So I'm sure this is on the minds of a lot of people, all of this. So going to just try to code and do some things. And it's not that you don't want to think about this and to see all the stuff that's going on over there. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. So in any event, going to do some stuff tonight and just, again, not try to take mind off of things, but to do something else. So with all that said, I got a couple things on the agenda tonight, and I'm going to switch to my really high-tech Notepad++ bulleted sort of list to go through what I want to go through tonight. So here it is. Maybe make this a little bit bigger here for tonight. So the first thing I'm going to just talk about briefly, and I was thinking about this last night, is what do I want to do with these streams, and what do I want to do with the videos that I'm currently doing on YouTube? So for about a couple of years now, I've been doing these videos I call Free Code Session, mostly because they're free. And it's basically a live coding thing, except I go through and I edit all of it so that I take away a lot of the pauses and stuff like that. And I've enjoyed doing it, but I'm enjoying actually really live coding and doing that stream completely off the cuff, like what I'm doing right now. And so I'm thinking I might consider doing something like doing a stream a couple nights a week, or maybe in the morning, and get that out of the way. Do that in the morning a couple days a week, and just do some streaming for an hour and a half, and we'll see. Maybe a morning schedule is a little bit better, and then change the free code videos to just being once a week, and have them be a little bit not slower, have them be shorter and a lot more focused and structured, so that they're not educational, but they don't kind of ramble on as much as you do when you're doing live coding. So I'm thinking about doing that. I need to actually get a little bit more work done on the streams side of things to do a little bit more branding with colors and backgrounds and all this other stuff. And I got some ideas, and I'm not an artist, so it probably won't end up looking good. But in any event, so minor thing, but that's what I'm thinking about doing. This is wrong. I think it should be that. Okay. So the next thing is I want to give a little bit of an update on InstantAPIs. But before I do that, I was really sad this morning. I was very sad because Jeff Fritz on his stream has been doing Connect 4. So he'll play against chat. So anybody, like, if, I think there was some way on Twitch to say, like, if you had enough, I don't even know what they call them. I eventually had enough and I wanted to make a move. But if you subscribed or you resubscribed or gave, did some things, you could actually get the next move. Well, from Tuesday, he left the game in a certain state. And as I looked at the board, I said, we basically won. As long as we don't play in a certain area, a couple places, we have won the game. So I was really hopeful that this morning we'd give him the L. Well, I'm going to pull this over so you can see this. And this is at the point I'm not going to play the video right now, but this is at the point where I think he put up a poll for the chat to say, what move should the chat do next? And somehow 7 won at this point. Okay. And you can see down here, I'm saying, 5 or 2, you do not want to go to, if you can tell the colorization here on the board, you can see that and again, this is a little hard to see because it's not as bright as it would be because I paused the video. But if you play a 2 black, purple will, if I see this right, yes, it'll win, because then you'll have a connect 4 this way. If you can see my mouse moving, the connect 4 will win. If you play a 5, he'll actually get a connect 5, but he'll get 4 in a row and then he wins. So you cannot play in 2 and 5, at least not right now. 1 and 6 are safe. They really can't do any damage. There was a little bit more, I think there was a play before this. So 1 and 6 are okay. 7, I think you could have played to start with because there wasn't this piece here, but then Jeff played this one. Now you can't play in 7 because if you do, he'll put a purple piece here. And then if you count how many moves are left, he would be able to put, or, if he puts the purple piece here, then we got a block here, but then he wins here. So that automatically, that's game over. But if you play in 6, and if he plays in 1, we play in 1. Now, if he plays in 7, we play in 7. And also keep in mind, he cannot play in 5 because if he plays in 5, we win on the next move. So long as we don't play in 7 here, so he can put that purple piece here. If he puts a piece here in 7, we put a black piece here and we block. Doesn't matter what goes up on top. If he plays in 2, then we can play here, and then there's no way for him to make a connect 4 over here. So then he would have to play a 5, assuming we block this, we would get the next move and win. So we could have won. Easily, we could have won. Just play him 1 and 6, make him eventually move in 7, and then we win. But no, for some reason, chat voted on 7, and that was it. Game over. There's nothing we could do at that point. It was just a dead game. So I am sad, and I'm no longer going to play Connect 4 in his game. I'm just going to be like, So, and I put out on Twitter saying, hey, we got him. We've totally got him. He even said that in the stream. He was like, Jason put this whole tweet out there, this whole thread. He said, and I went through it, and I was like playing through the moves too as well. And he said, yeah, as long as we don't make a boneheaded move, we had him beat. We could have won. Sad. But about InstantAPIs. So let me bring that up. I'm going to put that in the chat here. In case people want to take a look at this. This is Fritz's idea about basically starting with a DB context. Can you generate a bunch of APIs that will do like very simple standard things? So like if you say get, it goes to the table and gets everything. Now, of course, that doesn't scale at all. So there's already issues out here. Like I think one's down here about get methods need paging. And, basically that you can't just say, I want to select all from a table. We know that's a terrible idea. But for the first pass, it works, it just works. In fact, let me show you where we are with the source generator stuff. And that's the reason I'm bringing this up, is because Jeff did this originally using reflection. I decided to take a source generator approach, and he actually merged that in now. So if you go get main off of this, you'll actually get the source generator code as well. I think my fork is updated. Let me just make sure that we're caught up. We are up to date. Okay, so I'm going to actually bring the latest. Come on. Let's go to InstantAPI. He's actually going to remove the part too. So, but that'll happen later. I do have my root beer tonight. I do not have a adult drink. I have my Sprecher going on again. Gotta love that Sprecher beer from Milwaukee. The root beer. I've had the beer. I don't like the beer. I don't know why. I just don't. Okay, so we're all loaded up. Yeah, see, Visual Studio is running, and now I'm getting all stuttery, but that's okay. So let's actually go to main. And this should, if when I switch to main, oh no, no, I haven't. So I'm actually kind of surprised that that's doing what it's doing, because I'm not, well, whatever. Whatever, I don't care. So I just demonstrate this real quick using the generator approach, and just show you what it's doing. It's just nice now that it's actually in the main branch. So if you want to just clone that, you can get this and see how it works. Basically, the idea is, if you go into the program here, what I'm doing here is I have a attribute, because your context is probably going to be in another project. For the proof of concept, I just defined it in the API project, but in reality, it's probably going to be somewhere else. So all you do is just create this assembly level attribute saying, hey, here's my context. Then you do a bunch of stuff that you would normally do. Okay. This thing here is just to set up a context using an in-memory database. That's all it is, just to illustrate how this works. That, you would typically not do this on a real project. Now you can either use, I have this code here, so you can use the configured version or the simple configure everything version. If I F12 into this is the generated code. And so when I say the configure everything approach is, if you don't provide a way, or you don't provide this, you don't provide an action, then it basically just goes off and creates should be, down here. If the options you gave is no, is not no, then we're going to build it. Otherwise, we're just going to use what the default, which is to include everything and do everything. And then, excuse me, and then we build it. We go through all the tables, which this enum is generated, and it's based on the table names that it finds in the context. And it just starts going through and saying, well, is this table included? Yes. Did you want, and this is a flag enumeration, did you want to do the get? And so then it does this get here in a very simple way of just going through the DB contacts table. Get by ID does it a certain way, insert does it a certain way. So if you run this one, what should happen is we'll get the Swagger page to show up. We also have logging in here now too. So once this is running, you'll see that we're logging that, yes, we've created all these API endpoints. And if I bring up the Swagger page, which is somewhere, there it is. Oh, is that where it did it? Really? Oh yeah, because I pulled that out. Okay, so you see all the APIs here. I can just say, get all the contacts, and we can try it out, and we can say execute, and there are the two. I can also do a post and say, try that out. And so I'll put in another person 3, and we'll just say, I don't know, Jane. Can't spell Jane at, not Jason, Jane at jane.com. And we'll say execute. And we should have gotten, that back. And so now if we go back up here and we say get and we execute, we should see 3, and we do. Okay, so that's the source generator approach. And the plan is, when new features are being asked to be added, that Jeff and I will coordinate to make sure that the reflection approach and the source generator approach are up to parity. The configuration approach that I have here will is very similar to what Jeff is doing, except I don't need to have use a generic. I don't need to get an instance of the DB context. I already know what all the tables are. So I can say, well, I want to include this table, but actually the API, the name of it, there should be context there. You can actually also include like a whole bunch of different funcs to customize how the routes work and so on if you want to. I can also say exclude a table or tables. So you can do all this configuration. But as Jeff and I have talked about, the intent of this instant API is to be instant. It's meant to be for a very simple, just get it up and running and go. If you need a whole bunch of customization for what your APIs need to do, this is probably not what you want, because you're going to fall way too much on the, well, I like this, but in all these different cases, I needed to do all these different things. You're probably just better off by doing an app.map get call and doing what you need there. Okay. So, you got to balance when you start adding when you have simplicity and configuration. You can easily fall on the wayside of, well, I'm going to configure everything. And that ends up actually being more work than if you just would have handwritten it yourself. So, but this is fun. I definitely think this is an interesting idea. And I will be in the coming weeks just continually updating this so that it has parity to whatever features are going to be coming into Instance API. Okay, so we got that going. Do I need this up anymore? No, I don't. I can close that out, and I can close this out. Okay. So the rest of the night is I just want to go back to the exceptional statistics project I've been working on. Kind of a fun one, just to go through and explore code bases and see what they're doing in terms of exception handling, how much is it good and bad, and where is it, and all that other stuff. Yeah. So just to illustrate here, if I go to my code and I actually go to the program here, you'll notice that what it's doing is it's actually going to, I can either say on my M drive, go to the Roslyn folder and just go parse all the CS files there and get all the statistics. Let me run this right now. Have it in the background. Up because that's going to address. So it's basically two things I want to do tonight, and hopefully they don't take too long to get done. The first one I've already tried, and I think I'm going to be able to just plop that in here. But the second one probably will take a little bit longer. So anyway, this is going off, trying to find wherever there is a catch block that I think either does nothing or is just catching the exception type. And then the block itself actually does nothing at all. So those are typically really bad, and you want to avoid those. So that's what's going through here. Now, at some point, it's going to come up and tell me that it went through all the files. And if you can imagine from a code base like Roslyn, there's a lot of code there. There's an amazing amount of code there. And so I think this should take about, I can't remember the last time I did this, how long it takes for it to finish. There isn't a lot of optimization here. And that's one thing I want to throw in here is a little optimization to do some more parallelization, because we're just going through each file, just enumerating it and saying, parse it, find all the bad spots, go to the next file, parse it, ad nauseum. And so as you can imagine, like I'm still waiting here for this to finish. And since I'm not printing out what file it's on, that helps in terms of performance, but, and I'm also streaming right now, so that doesn't help that much either in terms of how fast it's going to work, because, contention on the machine. But, hopefully at some point this will come up and tell us this is how long it takes. This is a very bad benchmark in terms of using a stopwatch, but it will work for what we need to do. Okay. So hope that's what this is going to be doing. And the first thing I want to do once this comes back is add some parallelization. So I've already added this code in before, and I'm hoping that I can just put this in and plop it in and paste it in and see, do we get the improvement that we're hoping for? So the idea is that we're just going to use parallel for each async, and saying, here's enumeration, here's the file, here's a token. Um, we want to count how many files we have. We're going to do all the stuff that we need to do with the file to read the code. And then we have to basically, the statistics is what's being used to do the aggregation of all the statistics. So we can't run into potential issues where we're doing, writes at the same time across different threads, and that would be bad. So that's why we have a lock around this stuff. And this may not be the most ideal way to do it, and I'd be open to what would actually be a better way to do this. But of course, this is still taking for freaking ever. And, I don't know when this is actually ever going to come back, because I want to see a number come up so that we can go, okay, well, that's what it took, and then run it again and see, well, now how long does it take? And, but of course, this is taking forever. I guess while that's still going, the other thing I want to look at is potentially either adding another statistic or putting something in to say, what happens if you have a block or a catch block like this, where what you're trying to do is say, okay, I want to catch every exception, but only when it's, for example, of an argument type of exception, argument exception, or a custom exception, or some other exception. So these are exception filters. Did they get added in C#6, I believe? I think that's when it was added. This to me is not ideal, but it's acceptable. I could see where you're saying, I have some code where I know it could throw a couple different exceptions. And rather than having a catch block, a catch block, a catch block, all these different exceptions need to have the same way of it being done. This could be a little bit more succinct and saying, you know what, in these cases, my code can continue on. I know it can. I don't think you can ever realistically say if my code is going to catch all exceptions that I can just move on from it. I really don't think you can do that. And then actually, when I was doing this a couple of weeks ago, when we were looking up where this actually happens in Roslyn, a lot of the places where it's doing it actually has filters on them, or they're doing something in that catch block, and they're doing something I think that's at least somewhat reasonable. What I'm really trying to get people to get away from is just this catch-all empty block and just do that ad nauseum in your code. That's a really bad thing to do. Okay. Because you don't know what the state of your code is after that. Or you'll see catch and then just throwing it right afterwards. It's like, why did you even catch it in the first place? What was the point of that? So I want to see if I could add that in. Add that in and see if there are any cases like that. Of course, I've now lost patience. So we're going to change this. I'm going to put this in here. We're just going to look at our own code base for the actual exceptional statistics. We know that we're not going to find any, though. That's the hard thing here. But then you'll see this comes back in just under, was it 0.7 seconds? And of course, you run it again, like 0.6, 0.7. Okay. So and again, this is not an official like benchmark type of thing here. I really want to make sure that I'm emphasizing that a lot. So let's put this in here. So I think we wanted to do basically put that in there. And so we have statistics. And so we basically want to comment this out. So this should be doing it in parallel. Is there any difference? Is it better or worse? In a case like this, oh, wait a minute. Nope. No. That was bad. We don't want to go looking at Roslyn again, at least not right away. Let's just go back to here. So run that. And, it's still 0.6. It's I think it's going to be a little bit hard to see in this case. Is it actually helping or not? Because you have so little amount of files that you're actually processing. But if I did this, I put this in here. This is run. Now, again, this is going through all of Roslyn, so we don't know when this is actually going to finish. But when I tried, this is the thing. When I tried this before, just a quick run through, and I wasn't streaming, I was actually to get some numbers, and this definitely seemed to help in terms of being faster to go through and run. So I'm going to keep this in here because I do think it's gonna help out in the long term. But it would be nice if this actually I want it to come up because I want to show it what's currently being printed out, and see if we can actually, one of the things too is when I did this a couple weeks ago, I was actually going to like think source Roslyn or RoslinSource.io, and then I go to that actual class or whatever it is, and then I go there, and I'm like, Jason, come on, think for a second. You already have it locally. You could have just gone into that directory and you know printed out where it was. And so I don't remember if I added in here. Um, yeah, we still print out the location, everything, but I don't think I was grabbing the file itself. And I think that's probably something that I want to do here is in the statistics here, all it knows about is the code. It doesn't know where it's actually come from or where, so, okay, cool. So we're back here. So this actually, it still took 50 seconds. It's not blazingly fast, but you can see, well, okay, great. We know number of bad catch blocks. We know that here in this method that starts here and it ends here, but that's not great. Like I'd like to, I don't want to go digging through the files either, on what I have locally. I'd like to know like what's the actual file location for this. So to do that, that's one thing I want to do in the interim is actually put in the file itself. Now, I could change statistics gatherer to say, here's the string of code. But what I could also do is put in an overload here that takes the file here is just a string. Okay, so we could also say, well, that would be a problem because we can't overload on string. We have to actually be able to overload on a different type. So, um, yeah, the path. So what we could do here, no, we don't want to do string code or string by path string code. We want this to say, hey, here's the actual. How do I want to do this? Because I do want to capture the actual file, the location of it. If you had it, you might just be giving this some code and to see this actually giving you what you want. So what is the right abstraction here? If I said file info, like new, the file here, and then full name is the full path. So I can use that as well. Okay, we'll just do that. So we'll have something like this. Statistics gatherer, file info, file. Okay. And then this would be, except, yeah, always another problem, isn't it? Let's do this. Let's say string code. This is the reason I'm hesitating a little bit here is because to read all the text, you just read all text async, do it asynchronously. But in a constructor, you can't do things asynchronously. So the next thing that you could possibly do is start going down a factory pattern route where you have a static method that's async, which actually creates an instance of the thing you want, and then calls a method that it knows about. It's a private method that can be done asynchronously, and then you return the whole constructed object, everything that you need in there, back to the caller. So that's kind of a workaround around it, but I don't want to go that far tonight. I'm like, that's just a lot of stuff. So let's just put in here public file info file. So it could be no. We don't know if you're always going to have it or not. Okay. So we're going to put in here this file is crap. Can't do it. We're close, but we can't. We have to now use the block body for constructor. Get the formatting right. We need to put this over here and comma that I missed out of here, and then also say this dot file is equal to file. There. That will work. And now this is basically the same thing as calling this. You have null, and then that means nullability. It's always a fun thing, isn't it? Yeah, we're saying that if you call it directly, it should not be null. But if we call it, it's okay to be null if you're just passing in the string. I think there's probably one of those attributes that you could use. There's like a maybe null, but I think that only works for return values. Like you could say maybe null here. But I'm not sure if it's actually for parameters. Like if I did this. Let's see where we can actually put this one. Property field. So you can do a parameter. Specifies that output maybe null if the corresponding time this allows it. Yeah. So that might be another case where, and I don't think we need to do that because we're saying okay, I was wrong. You need to actually put a null in there. Okay. So now what we could do here is say statistics gatherer, we could say new file info. They're passing in file and then the code. And that should be good. Okay. If you just say code, I think we have tests in here that, yeah, it just does the, that's just passing in the code. Yeah. And then we could put in these tests to say like, that when you do this, the file should always be null. You could have a test scenario, make a file temporarily and read that in. That should not be null. We put that in here just to have like as a to do add tests for passing in a file. Yeah. Okay. So now that we got this, that's great. But here we actually want to print out await console out wait line async. For each catch clause in statistics, bad catch clauses. That's the catch clause. Oh, wait a minute. That's yeah. Can't quite do it this way. The statistics here is something a little different. This is this fancy thing that we put together. And this was actually, this comments here. Well, one of them is this gatherer should potentially be a walker because all the gatherer does is use the walker to do the things. But I'm going to actually take this off because this class isn't a walker. Like that's not its intent. It's just to have a bunch of statistics in it. It just so happens to use this walker underneath the scenes. That's a private class, and we'll keep it that way. That's fine. Okay. But out here, we have this thing that's basically saying, we're bad catch clauses. We're concatenating with what we have to what we currently have. And this just keeps incrementing and incrementing and incrementing. But we could have in one file a whole bunch of bad catch clauses. So there's no way to relate the file. Well, I'm sure there is, but off the top of my head, I'm now starting to go, how would we actually do this? Because this is just an aggregation. We don't keep a what we could do is say the bad catch clauses, instead of being an immutable array, it could be a immutable dictionary where the key is a file info and the value is all the catch clauses. And so then when we concatenate them here with the overridden plus operator, we would just add the ones that were given on the right to we basically would say left bad catch clauses, add, and then say for the one on the right, excuse me, the one on the right, we would just add its, key and its value in, and then just keep moving on from there. So this concat, so this is an immutable array, you say concat. The problem is that you, with an immutable dictionary, I don't know if you can do that, like var d is equal to new immutable. I could say dictionary of, it doesn't matter, string to immutable dictionary. There's no concat after that. Like you can't say add. Well, you can say add, but then you get a new, oh, well, yeah. So the original dictionary doesn't change, right? You get a whole new immutable dictionary back, which probably isn't the most performant way of doing it, but it would work. Okay. So let's do that. Let's change this to being a so what do we do up here? Yeah, that's an immutable array, but that also has the file. So yeah, that's fine. Okay. So we want a mutable dictionary of a file info and mutable that, which we're originally going to say is this, and that's empty. That'll work. Okay. A little ugly, but that works. So now what we want to do here is we're going to get a new statistics, except this is going to be this whole big thing. Okay. That's good, except this isn't good. Okay. So now what we want to say here is left of add catch clauses. We want to say add. Add here is the rights file, which we know is good because here we're always playing with files. So here we know we're good. And so it's an assumption, but probably, not the greatest one. So let's say add catch clauses. I don't think we know that should work. Okay. Again, probably not the most performant way of doing it, but it does work. Now, for each catch clause in statistics, bad catch clause, this should be a key value pair, and it is. Okay. What we want to do here is we're saying this is for each file, right? So, yeah. we want to say is await console, not out, right, async file, and then we'll print out catch clause. Can we say here file catch clauses? No, not that. Can't we? I thought you could do this. Yes, you can. You can deconstruct it. That's what I thought. Okay. So it's file full name. Okay. And yes, okay. So now we got that. Now we want to say for each. Yeah, because this used to just be an array and you would go over the way. So now what we want to say here is for each our catch clause. Catch clauses. Okay, so take that and put it all the way down here. Okay. And now everything is good from this point on. Okay. So what we want to do here is let's just tab it out because we want to get a little bit of a cleaner. Nope. Yeah. There. Okay. All right. So when I run this, is going to take forever again to run, but hopefully now we'll be able to say in this file, here's all the catch clauses that are kind of suspect. And then we can actually just go to that place on my hard drive and see the file that way. It'd be a lot easier, I think. So I think this is all good. So let's run this. And hopefully it just doesn't blow up right away. I should, as a to-do, I should get a repository that I know would actually have at least one of these, if not a couple, but it's nowhere near as big as Roslyn. And then I don't have to necessarily worry about taking 50 seconds during a stream to try to parse all these things and get this all to work. But we'll just do this one time, and then I'll start looking at the other thing I want to add to this. So, and again, if you haven't seen me work on this before, this is mostly just to show, hey, if you're, if you've never seen Roslyn before, you can use this thing called a walker, which I used a region and region here. I can't believe I did this, but this basically overrides all the visits for the statements and the expressions, and we just count those up. The thing that we're really looking for is when you visit a catch clause. And so this is where we're determining that you have a catch declaration where either you didn't say exception or exception EX, or the catch declaration's type is probably an exception in those cases because the block didn't have any descendant nodes. This is something that we're trying to be aware of. Cool, this worked. Okay. Holy crap, that was, yeah, okay, well, that didn't quite work the way I wanted it to, because it's reporting every file, and that's not what we want. We want it to only report, we only wanted to add to it if the write actually found bad catch clauses. So what we can, I wonder if I can do this. If I say no ugly, right, bad catch clauses length greater than 0, then we want to do that. Else, just return that. Yeah. So what we're saying here is if you found some, then we need to add it and now return the new immutable rate, or immutable dictionary, which by the way, we just showed. Yes, that does work a little bit. But otherwise, if you didn't find any, then we don't want to report you because we don't care. Okay. So we'll let that run on, go off and do it again. While that's going, I do want to come over here. Oh God, I don't want to do that. But I don't have a choice, do I? Yeah. So, oh, that worked. Okay. Exceptional is there. So we put in the repository links. So if you want to take a look at what I'm doing here, you can go there. Of course, I'm doing this all locally. I'll have to commit it once I know that this is all working the way I expect it to, at least for now. So the next thing, once we get this in place, is I want to start looking at what is it going to take to actually have code that will look for, because right now this is going to come through as a bad catch block, but we don't want that. We want to say, it's not a bad catch block. It's an empty catch block. I don't know how you even qualify it or name it just off the top of my head. Okay, this looks a lot better. Yeah, this doesn't look like we were. So what we're saying here is in this file right here at line 69. So let's actually do that. Let's here and let's say open. Give it a second. Let's say open that file. And now we say go to 69, I think it was. And there it is, the catch block. That is empty. That is doing nothing. Bad, 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 bad. How dare you? And so now we could also come in here and say go to 75. Yeah, there's a try cut with a catch. And see, this is fun. This is something I should do more often. And not just looking through the Roslyn source code base, but a lot of code bases. Like, just take time to say, here is a NuGet package that we've been using on our project for God knows how long. Let's just take a look at the code, see what they're doing. Maybe we could learn a thing or three about what they're doing, or maybe, whether that's good or bad, maybe we'll look at it and go, oh God, I don't want to do that. What were they thinking? Or, oh, I didn't know you could do that before. That's interesting. I want to take advantage of that. So what I find funny here is the below message right? What below message? We could report unavailable load analyzer exception here, but it should have already been reported by diagnostic service. So what message are you talking about? I have no idea. I don't know. Kind of weird. Let's go look at another one here. I'm just curious. Abstract syntax index persistence. That's a good name of the file as any, right? This one's abstract project extension provider. And this one, we had 157. See, this is one that we would want to actually say is not necessarily bad. Storage APIs can throw arbitrary exceptions. So catch the exception when IO tallies is normal IO exception. And so if this returns true, then you're just saying, okay, if we're getting this normal IO exception, which I don't see here, we're not going to be able, this is where you go to like Roslyn source and say, look this up, because let's do that. Let's do that. Let me pull this over here. So we've got a window that we can just Roslyn source. I never can have that yet. That. Okay. So what was the thing we're looking at here? Let's see if we can, come on, bring that up. Thank you. So yeah, it's basically if I would have when E is this or this or this or this. And so if you're saying it's any one of these exceptions, then it's okay. You can just skip it. But if you got like an argument null exception, if you got a format exception, if you got one of those, then this would not catch and it would just roll up the stack. So I kind of admit I do like the filter exceptions. It's actually a pretty powerful thing to do in certain cases. So, okay, we're all cool here. So let me do it. In a main, edit in file information plus parallelization for me. There. So let's see if we can do this. It's past 9 o'clock where I am. Let's see if we can get this in here. And I should do tests on it, but the thing I want to do here is say, And I'll write some code in a second just to do it because I need to see what will happen in that case. So if I do something like try formatting, I just don't get why the formatting is so broken in Visual Studio at times. And EX is IO exception. That one you can see, yes, okay. So what does the visualizer show us in this case? We have a catch clause that has a catch declaration, but it also contains a catch filter clause. So that's the thing I need to find. If you have a catch filter clause, then this is we still want to find it if it's exception, if the catch declaration is null, you didn't have a catch declaration. That's when you do this. We just say catch, or that means you did have one, and then its type is either exception or system exception. Okay. So we want any of this to be true, and the catch clause does not have, it does not contain a catch filter. Okay. So its descendants is that there is no catch filter. Now, actually, what I want to do here is say if there is a catch, wait, let's come back here. This is called a catch filter clause. Catch filter clause. I'll get rid of that because that just eats up the CPU like no one's business. I don't know what it's doing, but using the syntax visualizer can really stutter things for a while. So in this case, what we want to say is if you have a catch filter clause in this case, because we know the block is empty. That's this thing. We know the block is empty. But if you do have a catch filter clause, what we want to say is a empty catch block with filter count. Sure. Public uint empty catch block with filter. There we go. Okay. So in this case, what we need to say here is if the node descendant nodes, I think we can say it's right underneath it. We'll make that assumption of type catch filter syntax, single or default, because you may or may not have one. If it is not null, else, and just do what we have been doing. And we can take this crap out of here because we don't need it anymore. Okay. So if this is where I want to say empty catch filter plus. Shite. I would actually like to catch this clause here so that I can see it. And then I can do the same kind of reporting on it. So yeah, so we have bad catch clauses here. And those, let's just rename this so that we have bad catch clauses. So the same thing. And then let's have like same thing here. I call this like except that. The thing I just realized is if I'm already like going to be catching here, I don't need to keep a separate count because that is going to be the count. And yeah, I need to, excuse me. I need to come up here and hold on 1 second. Okay, well, they're barking. Need that, and then we need that. And now everything should be good. Okay. And now here's the thing. We don't need a count because these are going to be the count that we're looking for. These are the droids we're looking for. Okay. So we'll just count on those or length or whatever it is. So yes, now you have a problem because you don't need to deconstruct that. What we can also do here though is say out that. And so you no longer need that. This, you no longer need that. And then this. There. What did I just screw up on? Oh, we need that. There. Okay. And then coming up here, yes, we now don't need that count. We need another one of these. And what do we call it down here? That. This, that. There we go. Okay, so now that's all good, but we're still not done because we gotta go up one level, and now other things are gonna break in other places, but that's fine. Let's actually just see what breaks. Yeah, I know. I don't want to go to the program just yet. Can we not that? Can we do this? Let's look at the test first. Can we? Yeah, I bet we can. Oh God! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! So anywhere we see this, that should take care of most of them. Take care of all of them. Awesome. We're going to need, for passing in a file, having filtered exceptions. And, okay. Now here, now I got to go back up we want bad catch clauses. We also don't need that. Oh, you need is this. Same with pipe, that's okay. We don't need a count there, especially since the kids same counts. Yep, take that off. And then we need a comma, this whole thing, that. So, nope. That except that. Backcheck clauses, this, that. Filter clauses, this goes away. That comes into play because we do that. Now we got one more thing up here, which is we don't do this anymore. Don't need to. The thing on the right is a new statistics. The expression code, same account. this, but we need to do that time. So not with that. What we wanted to do is with this. God. I like maybe do something that's a little bit better. But okay. So yeah, we don't know the links, but now we come up here and now we don't know. Catch blocks, and then we need the number of empty catch blocks with filters. There. Okay. That should go through and say for all the bad catch clauses. And then good old copy and paste. We're going to do the same thing here, except we're going to say um, empty catch clauses. Everything in here should basically be the same thing. What happens when we run this? Oh, that's going. Let's just run our tests. They should all pass. And they do. Okay. And this was taking about a minute. I don't think we're going to add that too much more of an overhead to it by having a way to say, what are all the filtered ones, by the way? Well, we just solved that question. I think we did, right? Filtered, yes, that's what we're actually doing. So we just figured out that to do. I could probably just use catch declaration identifier text instead of toString. Yes, that's right. I have to, well, I have to run tests. That's why we have tests. Good old tests. 2 failed. That was a little unexpected. Why did they fail? So we're doing try, catch, exception. So let's come to here. And let's see what this does. Sorry, my family, especially my younger son, stopped debugging. Let's go back to kids are not young, they're teenagers. But both of them for like the last week have had this, and not COVID, got tested, not COVID, but they've had this cold bug for like 5-6 days. It's been just a bugger to get over. I don't know why. And I feel like I've got it just a little bit. It's not bad. Like just a little stuffy, little sore throat. Nothing major. All right. By the way, while this, sorry, so I'm trying to turn my head. What was that song, Chocolate Rain? The guy would sing and then he'd turn his head and then he'd come back here and so what we got. So it's interesting. Now the number of bad catch blocks is 41 and 61. I think, yeah, that seems fairly right. But I should print this out a little bit nicer, but we do know that all the bad ones are coming up here first. And then like somewhere, like all the ones down here are the good ones. So for example, if I picked this and I'll go to 162. So let's go here and say, open this. So 162, we should take exception with the filter, and we do. Okay. So perfect. I love it. Love it. So we're just going to make the formatting just a little, I'm not going to rerun it again. We'll figure out why this is failing in just a moment, but I do want to put something in here to say, okay, let's get rid of this. Okay. And then we're going to say to number files, and then we're going to have a oh, I need to sync anything in, you need to wait, and then you need to what did you just do? Okay, fine, whatever. So we wanna, yeah, now they're kicking in. Okay, fine. Just oh my, come on, Visual Studio, keep up. We also want to have here is a add catch clauses. And then we're going to want to put a tab in here. We need the indented text writer. We're going to do a double tab, double time. Okay. And then we'll print out that. And then we're going to put in here this, except we'll expand out the that. Should I put another one of these in here just to space it out nicely? It's a nab. It's a nab. Is that what Bob Ross would say all the time? Just a nab or just a touch or whatever that was. Something like that. Okay. So there we go. Let's go back here and figure out why that does not work anymore. And let it get into the debugger, and had a really good conversation with somebody at work today about debugging and debugging skills and just good general debugging techniques. And it was fun to talk to somebody who is really likes to dig into things and figuring out where things are going wrong. And that was fun. I enjoyed that. All right, so we go to check this should not be null, and it's identifier. Oh, there's nothing there. That's why it's that. Well, that sucks. So the catch declaration type identifier. There is no type, and that sucks. Type is a type declaration node, isn't it? It should be, right? Come on. Yeah, exactly. That's what that was exactly what I was trying to do. Like if I said type here, you'd think there'd be identifier, but there isn't. So that is, yeah, it's like it doesn't know what that is. It's really bizarre because type here should be a type syntax. Yeah. Is it type is type declaration syntax? No, it's not. Find it. Tell me what your actual type is. You are an identifier named what? So so you are a I feel stupid. Well, the type is it's funny if I typed here and it said type, saying it by default, it's a oh, because it's typed as a type syntax, but what it actually is underneath the scenes a is identifier name syntax. Is that what you are? Yes, that's what you are. Yes. I don't know if there's a if there's like a I named. I think you're confusing. You're getting the semantic model and the um, syntax tree. There's an I name type symbol, but that's in the semantic model. This is the syntax tree here. So I don't believe there is. I don't know. I'll try it. I named. Yeah, that's not at this level. So what I could do is say, just I'm curious, is say identifier syntax. No, not is in this case, as, and then I should be able to say here identifier text. There you go. There you go. So that will work. Yeah. And it really should be a identifier name syntax, right? Is there any case where it wouldn't be? You're absolutely right. I'm confusing. Yeah, no problem. The the Roslyn stuff, the compiler API stuff, man, there is so much to this, and it is really easy to mess things up or go, oh, I thought this was here and it was there, and all that other stuff. So yeah, I totally get that. Stuff like this, like identifiers and text. I don't know why, but I find it just kind of painful, or at least more painful than it should be. Like I just want to know, um, like if it's a type, you would expect there to be an identifier on it, but it's a type syntax, which a type syntax apparently doesn't have an identifier on it. But it can be an identifier name syntax, which apparently will derive from type syntax, and then you can get the identifier text off of it. I don't know who thought this one up, and I'm sure there are rational architectural and design reasons why it was done this way. Or maybe somebody said, we just needed to get something done on Roslyn, so we did it that way, and that's what you're stuck with. I don't know. I have no clue. But, all that said, is that any better than what I currently have? Like if I go and say, excuse me, wow, it's been a month since I looked at this before. Like if I just do type 2 string, I mean, is that just fine? Because I'm betting in this case, what toString is doing is just getting the name of the identifier and printing that out. So I think I'm just going to stick with this approach, and keep it that way. I would have liked it if you could have just said identifier text. That would have felt just a slightly bit, cleaner thing to me. But yeah, if this works, this works, and this works. All right, so let's do this. Let's commit. What do we just do? And then, yeah, we basically did. No, I don't want to do that. I want to. It should be. Yeah, we're basically adding the empty catch. Yeah, yep. Okay, just want to make sure. I know I just did it like 15 minutes ago, but added ability to find empty catch blocks that are filtered, just like a cigarette, because those are healthier for you. No. All right, so I think that was pretty much it of what I wanted to do tonight. Yeah, so that is where I'm going to be wrapping it up. So, thanks for showing up. Okay, one more thing here. I had to create a few source generators not too long ago. What I noticed is that they use a lot of explicit implementations. For example, identifier name. I don't get why they did it like this, but it just hides stuff if you're not expecting it. So there's my face is being hidden by that. There's just a lot of things in Roslyn that it's not necessarily intuitively obvious to me. Like I get as you start getting familiar with the syntax tree and the semantic model, generally, yes, it does make sense, but there's all sorts of weird things here and there that it just doesn't seem as easy as one would think it should be. So anyway, um, as I mentioned before, I'm thinking about doing actually more streaming and live coding and changing the formatted videos, the edited videos I've been doing on YouTube for a couple of years, and actually using those as more of like instructional, very, very structural, very thought out videos. But those would only be done like once a week or once every other week, and just changing things up because I do truly enjoy this. I'm also considering maybe doing this like on a early Monday morning and then like the late Thursday night and having that approach. Like I'm trying to find the right sweet spot to get um at least a fair amount of people if they can to show up, and just doing stuff like this is what do I enjoy. And if even I get a couple people to show up and ask a couple questions, that's fine by me. Anybody who actually likes the stuff and goes, oh yeah, even when Self said like I name type syntax, I'm like, okay, they get it. They just were mixing two things up. But having somebody who at least plays with this stuff and knows this stuff, it's like I love having conversations about that kind of stuff. So whatever approach I take for the future, I have a long list of things I can do in both areas, so that will be no problem. And I just love sharing stuff like this. It's a lot of fun. So, if you're watching the stream live, thanks for showing up. If you watch it later, thanks for watching it later as well. Remember, like, subscribe, all that other good stuff. And the plan is I will be on next Thursday night as well. Take care, everybody, and I will see you later.